Hey guys, it's a Synchro Extremist making another gear video. Now, for those who don't know me, I am the Synchro Extremist, formerly known as Speedy Steve 2448. Unfortunately, my channel got took down due to copyright with music, but since then I've been able to make a renewed channel, and Will is a good friend of mine, very good friend, and he's been able to let me feature on his channel to spread the word that I am back. So thank you, Will, very much, mate. I do completely appreciate it. So my channel is all about synchro summoning, really, hence the name Synchro Extremist. And one of the things I love to do the most is play my junk doppel deck. Now, let's be honest, junk doppel / even synchro decks full stop aren't particularly relevant at the moment. Yang Zing are probably the most known synchro deck at the moment, and they're not even probably top 3, maybe top 5 of the format. But I do think synchro, or at least synchron cards, are going to be much more relevant in the future. Now, why is that? Well, we get our very own structure deck called Synchron Extreme, and there are some incredibly powerful and great toolbox cards inside of that structure deck. Now, why is that important? You're kind of thinking, well, it's only a single structure deck, does that really make a huge difference? Well, you look at a deck like Heroes. Heroes, to be honest, were pretty irrelevant, especially the fact that actually their main monster in Stratos is banned. Once the structure deck came out, they kind of changed the whole way they played. Rather than playing lots of little engines, they did out and out play a really cool version of the Mask Heroes. And junk doppels / synchrons follow that similar kind of suit. Rather than playing lots of different type of psychic engines and light sworn engines and bits and bobs like that, you literally are just going to focus particularly on just the synchron cards themselves. They might have a little engine light sworn in there to help yourself mill, because particularly we get some great cards activate in the graveyard. So let me go over some of the cards that I do think are going to be really, really instrumental in making sure the junk doppel / synchron deck once again comes about. But I do think after this video, hopefully you guys will at least be slightly persuaded into thinking that the deck will once again be relevant. So there are great cards that we can have inside of our main deck due to the new structure deck. And two of the ones we'll talk about start off with are our two kind of rotating cards around. So the first one is our Rush Warrior. Now, Rush Warrior is a really cool monster. Now, if you have this card in your hand, he's very similar to Honest, basically. If you have a warrior type synchro monster that attacks, he doubles his attack. So for instance, your Gaio Guardian, your Junk Gardener, your Junk Berserker, your Road Warrior, your Crimson Blader, they all gain double attack, and that's during either player's turn. Additionally, on top of that, and probably more importantly, if this card is in the graveyard, you can remove this card from play and add one synchron monster in your graveyard to your hand. Now the cool thing also, it doesn't have to be a tuner synchron, it can just be a synchron card full stop. So you're going to have cards like your Synchron Explorer, your Unknown Synchron, your Quick Draw Synchron, your your Jet Synchron, and also your Junk Synchron. So loads of cards. So great thing is, if you mill this card due to a Charge of Light Brigade or whatever it may be, you discard it through a Quick Draw Synchron effect, you can then bring back a Synchron monster from your graveyard. So really, really useful. Not to mention also, it's a level 2, and also with being a warrior, you can add it to your hand with Rota. If your opponent has a huge monster attack their side of the field, you can add this card to your hand, attack with your Crimson Blader, for instance, and double your Crimson Blader's attack into a 5,600, which is an incredible amount of damage for a basic warrior type synchro monster. Now on top of that, we also have our Jet Synchron. So Jet Synchron is a level 1 500 attack machine type tuner monster. Now this card is used as synchro material for a synchro monster. You can add one junk monster from your deck to your hand, which is incredibly, incredibly good. You know, you play 1 for 1, you put this card to your side of the field, you can then sync with this and maybe your Level Eater, and then add any junk monster from your deck to your hand, which is really, really cool. Of course, Junk Synchron going to be your main one. On top of that, it also has a secondary effect similar to Rush Warrior. You can discard one card from your hand to your graveyard to special summon this card to your side of the field. Just simple as that, like a Glurt Bulb, and then once it leaves the field, it is banished. So they both are really cool. First, they have first effects, which are really cool. You can do it Honest, you can return this card from your graveyard. But secondly, they also have great cards in, because this card adds any synchron monster from your graveyard to your hand, this card adds any junk monster from your deck to your hand. So they both just repeatedly keep giving you junk synchron over and over and over again, from hand, from graveyard, from hand, from graveyard, which is really, really good. Now, continuing the theme of recycling cards, we get another great card, and actually a trap card, which is very rare for a junk double deck to play a trap card, and that is Scrap Iron Statue. If this card is set and your opponent activates a spell or trap card that's already face up, you can flip this card face up and then destroy that card, and then put it straight back face down. So your opponent activates stuff like a Tenki, anything lines of that, basically cards that face up their side of the field, you can flip them face up and destroy them. So continuous spells, continuous traps are going to get destroyed by this card, which is really, really awesome. But Its secondary effect is also really, really good. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. So again, we spoke about that recycling. So adds a Synchro monster from our graveyard to our hand, adds a junk monster from our deck to our hands, special summons a junk monster straight to the field. So all three of these cards get their effects when they're in the graveyard. So you activate Chargeable Light Brigade and mill all three of these, you are so good. Not to mention it's just a junk monster. So we have our junk Synchron of course, but we also have our junk Gardener, our junk Berserker, we have all of our junk Warrior, we have our Synchro monsters as well as our main decked junk Synchron. So it's just a really useful all three cards. They all have great initial first effects, but the secondary effects when they get sent to the graveyard or in the graveyard already is really good. That's why probably the Lightsworn engine is going to be better than ever when it comes to this deck, just because you're milling all these cards and getting their effects off. And now the main card really that makes the whole junk double deck amazing, and that is Excel Synchron. Now I spoke about this card in a little bit of detail in my recent video on Vexicus channel, but I want to go into much more detail right here for you guys now. So Excel Synchron is just an out and out amazing card. It's a 500 attack, 2100 defense machine Synchro tuner monster, which is very important, a Synchro tuner monster. Now what it basically does is you can Synchro summon during your opponent's turn, so stuff like Starlight Junction comes into play, but more importantly his main effect is you can send a Synchron card from your deck to your graveyard and either decrease or increase its level by that level you sent to the graveyard, which is really, really cool. It just basically you can make any single card you pretty much want in your whole Synchro deck because of this. So for this, I'm going to summon Junk Synchron and special summon Double Wire from my graveyard, and then sync the two into my Excel Synchron and get my 2 tokens, and then I'll kind of go from there and show you guys really what you can do with the card, along with some of the new cards we have as well. So making him, you basically can go into so many things, it's incredible. So first of all, just a basic breakdown. For instance, you can make him a level 8 by sending a Junk Synchron to the graveyard. If you do so, you can go 8, 9, 10 and go into a Leo. Or if you want, you can make him a level 7 by sending a Synchron Explorer to the graveyard. And you can go 7, 8, 9 into a Mistworm. Or if you want, you could make him a level 6 by sending a level 1 to the graveyard, and you can go into Beals because he's a Dark Tuner, you can go into Stardust, Crimson Blader, you can go into basically any of your main level 8s. On top of that, you can also, of course, decrease his level. You can send your Synchron to the graveyard, oh yeah, Synchron, make him a level 1, and you've got your 1 and your 1, and then of course you have a Formula Synchron. Really depends on what you want, scenario, what you're going to have. You can basically make him to anything you want. Now, another cool thing about this card is the fact that he works really, really well with main new cards, which is Turbo Synchron. Now, Turbo Synchron's a great card linked in with this guy, and anytime you make him, really you want to have Turbo Synchron in your main deck to utilize. So you activate his effect, sending Turbo Synchron to the graveyard, you decrease his level by 1, you then sync to your Librarian, you then activate his effect by discarding a card to the graveyard, you then sync into your 1 and your 1, making a 2, and you draw 2 cards. And then you can do so many other things, like if you had a level to your side in your graveyard, you could level him, you could go into a 3 and go into the brand new level 3, which is Child Dragon Tuner Monster, sync from your hand, and man, there are so many plays you can do. Once we get the combination of this structure deck, as well as a couple of the remaining OCG exclusive cards, like your Child Dragon, then dude, this deck is going to be explosive like hell. And honestly, I think really down to cards like these here, honestly, these 3 here alongside your Excel Synchron, these 4 cards just make the deck so much stronger. The fact that you can just you can revive this card from your graveyard, you can add a junk monster from your deck to your hand, you can double your monster's attack, you can add a Synchron from the graveyard to your hand, you can put some junk monster from your graveyard to your side of the field, you can pop face-up back rows and traps, which is amazing, and you can just basically make any Synchro monster you want in pretty much your whole extra deck. So the combination of all of these is great, and this card is just even better just because, again, you can manipulate his level any way you want, and he's just great for making your Quasars, your Shooting Star Dragons, your Stardust Warriors, your Beelzebus of Diabolic Dragons, the even bigger version of Beelz. There are so many things you can do with this card, and honestly, when it finally comes out, I think there'll be some crazy plays that hopefully I can show you, which will kind of blow your mind. Not to mention, there are some future 2 and 3 card Quasar combos that involve this card that really make the deck explosive as well. So there are some fantastic plays we now can make with Junk Double when the new structure deck comes out, and I do really think it's going to be much more relevant, and I really do hope, hopefully, at least I can do my very best and maybe top a big tournament for you guys and show you guys and hopefully lead the way to making this deck once again the deck it once was, which is incredibly, incredibly powerful, and I do think we'll get there once again. So guys, thanks for watching. Leave a comment and like if you did like the video. Once again, thanks to Will for letting me feature on his channel, and I'll see you guys real soon. Take care and thanks for watching.